Hey there guys, welcome to the Musings of Maverick channel. I'm your host Maverick. Today we are starting a new series which is Takt Op Destiny, or I guess the Op here stands for Opus, considering this is a music themed anime. So anyways, if any of you guys are here for the first time, typically how I do my reactions is they'll be split into 3 different parts. I have an introduction, as I'm doing right now. I have my blind reaction in the middle, and then finally at the end I will have what I call my musing section, where I talk a little bit more in depth about, the concepts that are brought up within the anime, within the episode, and perhaps the entire series as a whole, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, as well as if there's any references that I may or may not have knowledge about, right? I like to sort of like drive some discussions on that point. But in any case, feel free to just jump to whichever part that you like. Some people would like to watch the reaction, some people like to watch the review and discussion portion. So they'll be timestamped down below so you can just jump to whichever part you want. So let's talk a little bit about this anime, right? Because this is indeed one that I've been quite looking forward to for this season. Anytime you have a music themed anime and it's looks relatively well produced, right? It's not just like generic, I guess generic idol anime or something of that sort. I will take an interest to it, right? Although I have to say I have been burned one too many times on original musical anime, right? If we go back a few seasons ago, Carol and Tuesday started out with a pretty good premise. To be honest, I didn't really enjoy it all the way to the very end. Lots of people liked it. Listeners, also from a few seasons ago, oh, that one was like a train wreck. The concept was interesting, execution was absolutely terrible. But then again, there are some pretty good stuff as well, right? Like 2 seasons ago, we had Vivi, and that is certainly a contender for anime as a year. So, I guess we shouldn't be too pessimistic about this work as well. Now, talking a little bit about what it actually is, I did do some preliminary research. So one of the studios that's making is DNA, which is mostly, I guess, especially for people outside of Japan, just a mobile game making company, right? And so indeed, this is also a franchise. Well, it's turned into a franchise that not only has an anime but also a game as well. Now, there's nothing in regards to the game, like we don't even know like how exactly you're supposed to play it, so really hard to make any judgment on that. But you do kind of also feel, there is, I wouldn't say it's exactly a strong point in terms of, it's not like a plus in terms of this anime's quality, right? Because a lot of these sort of game turned anime franchises or adaptions do suffer from, well, just being a simple cash grab, or either some sort of fan service, or, mostly just to get you to play the game so that you can spend more money, right? But with that being said, the entire premise itself is quite interesting, right? Kind of similar to Listeners, as I was talking about, but hopefully it's going to be a little bit better. Certainly just from the key visuals and whatnot, it looks great. It features some pretty well-known voice actors as well, although the main female lead is actually a relative newbie. I've never heard of her, and I've never seen any work from her. But, the studio, Madhouse, Mappa, that is quality, right? The director and sound director, I'm not too familiar with the director. The sound director probably is most famous for Shield Hero, although I have watched other works by him, such as No Guns Alive, and what's the other one? I can't quite remember, but I've seen a few of works that he's directed the sound of. I wouldn't say I'm too impressed, but then again, well, let's see, right? Let's see. Now, the opening of this is going to be made by Ryu from Supercell, so that's pretty hype. And it's even featuring Mafu Mafu, which is even more hype, and I can't wait to hear that one. Now, hopefully, it will feature a lot of original music, perhaps even classical inspired music, considering the Opus name, which is really it's sort of a name that's only used more in classical works and whatnot, so we'll just have to see about that. But in any case, I think this has been enough of an intro here, so I'm staying relatively optimistic about what it has to offer, but let's just get into the actual episode and find out. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Okay. And by the way, this video is about a day late because, well, I was kind of too busy yesterday. But, you know, hopefully starting from next week onwards, it will be on time. Alien invasion. Angels? Well, I do know that it's, I mean, just reading from the synopsis, I think there's like, yeah, the music arts, right? Right, fighting using music. And I think the main character is supposed to be a conductor. A relative modern setting, actually. Oh, are you the main character? It looks like a world not far removed from, you know, our modern day, right? Looks relatively normal and all that. Yeah, it's a piano. Be sure to play me someday. Play with your heart and pray. Yeah, it's not. It's out of tune. Okay, so are you the main character? I think reading from the synopsis, this is a world without music, but are you saying that all these people have never heard music before? Or is it just banned and prohibited? By the way, wasn't the piano supposed to be out of tune? Oh. Oh, nice. Symphony number 5? This doesn't sound like Symphony number 5, but alright. Oof. Okay. It's okay. Disregard that. This looks amazing. Okay. Life force, eh? So you need to use your life force to summon the music arts? Okay. I think that's Hondo Kaide's voice there. I recognize that voice. So I guess anybody who plays music will be targeted by those D2s. So since they're heading to New York and looking at all this, I guess this is set in the US? By the way, Cosette reminds me of the titular character of the Waka music franchise, actually. Elizabeth. I wonder how many of you guys know about that one. They seem quite similar, especially design-wise and the eyes. Yeah, they're in the US alright. Looking at the diner and whatnot. They're like, ah, no problem. That's it. Okay. So they're around Oklahoma, Kansas right now. Grand Maestro Seiken. What's so bad about this? Can't you exit using... Wait, aren't you supposed to be... Oh, I guess their senses are linked in a way? Okay, I guess this is not taking itself all too seriously, right? Well, what's your plan, girl? She kind of reminds me of Ononoki from Monogatari. Nice. Pancake in one bite. Good point. Let me guess, the jukebox? I do hope you guys have a way of... Okay! Huh. And here I was thinking he was gonna use the jukebox, but I guess he's gonna play a piano, eh? Dun, 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 dun. As expected, this is much more classical inspired. Okay. And here I certainly do hope that the entire fight is going to be a sound of some classical pieces. Oof! Look at that animation! Yeah, the big one's gonna be the problem. So are they linked in a certain way? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I want to see some melee action. Oh wait, no, okay, there we go, there we go. Nice. This actually kind of reminds me of another game franchise, from same studio that made Bastion. Hmm. No, I also wish they had played the piece throughout the entire fight. I feel like that would make a nice contrast as well. Then. Well, since this is classical music, I don't think it's going to be copyrighted. But just to be on the safe side, I am muting it for now. Because although the music itself isn't copyrighted, the recordings are. All right, moving on. right? Right. And here's the, I'm guessing this is going to be the opening, eh? So I want to take a listen over this. And only for this first time, right? In the future, I'll probably skip this part. I'm guessing this is the opening. Octa, yeah, that one. Huh, I'm surprised you didn't put the credits for the classical music used. Well, alright, that was the first episode. I'll see you guys after this. Alright, that was the first episode of Takt Op's Destiny, and I gotta say, I am impressed, right? Certainly, even though I knew this was a collaboration between Mappa Madhouse and whatnot, since this was a sort of game franchise turned into anime adaptation, I wasn't quite sure, right? A lot of these kinds of animes, quite lack effort put into them, so it's really hard to say for sure whether or not it's going to be quality or not. But here, we can totally see that, at least for the action scenes, the fight scenes, a lot of care and effort was put into it. And I love the designs that they're using and the way that they're fighting as well. It actually reminds me a lot of a video game franchise, Transistor by Supergiant Games, you know, also the creators Bastion and whatnot. I love that entire aesthetic thing they have going. Even though this is not exactly like a cyberpunk setting or whatnot, because of the way that their weapons are utilized and their weapon designs and so on and so forth, at least for Destiny here, right, or Cassette here, I like it. I love this sort of design. And once again, she actually reminds me a lot of Elizabeth from Waka as well, which is another music franchise. I know that's an arcade music game. So I guess these things are just in right now, like the crazy colors around the eyes and whatnot. But yeah, I like it, right? Her personality, though, reminds me a lot of Ononoki from the Monogatari franchise. You know, this sort of really sort of flat-voiced girl who has a big sister and you know, listens to orders and whatnot, but otherwise she's off doing her own thing, kind of aloof in a way. Whereas Takt here likes to say the ponkatsu, right? They translate it as good for nothing, which I guess can technically be true, but I would rather say is more closer translated as being a klutz, right? A natural klutz. But yeah, in any case, you know, I do hope that they kind of develop her character a lot more, right? Though I do think that will happen, being I guess the sort of main character, main female lead of this franchise as well. I think it should be obvious, and especially since we saw a little bit of flashbacks between her and Takt as well, most probably we will be developing her story a little bit further here, right? Takt himself, you know, he's pretty handsome, and that's all I gotta say about him. I mean, this sort of like a genius sort of character, or prodigy sort of character who's only focused on one thing, you know, that kind of character. I mean, it's been tried and it's been done many times before. It's tried and true. So we'll just continue on and see how they develop, right? Anna, to be honest, she is a little itsy bitsy kind of annoying here, especially since, like, I mean, make up your mind, right? Are you going to be like this really big sis character who's really reliable and who basically whips everybody into shape, or are you going to be this character who is really who really needs to be taken care of instead, right? Because when we first saw her appear, she seemed to be more of the type of character who's like the big sis type, right? But now, it seems that she doesn't really have a handle on either Takt or on cassette. But no, we'll see, right? This is the first episode only. We still have to continue on with their group dynamic and with other characters as well. I mean, the basic premise of this, it's not exactly anything special. Like, this is, some kind of alien creatures arriving on Earth, and then, having this other sort of kind of alien-like characters rising up to fight against them, with humans caught in the middle, and with the human being the main protagonist or whatnot. I mean, tons of games use this kind of method, right? So it's definitely not any sort of it's definitely not original there. Now, the concept of using music to fight, of course, is something that I do hope that they explore a little bit more. To be honest, even though I'm praising it for its character design and how the weapons look like, how their abilities look like, how they fight and whatnot, but I was honestly expecting them to have a bigger connection with the music here, right? And speaking of the music, this episode was very Beethoven focused, right? With perhaps the most famous work, of course, being Moonlight Sonata, which sadly Takt did not continue playing over the fighting. That was what I was expecting, actually, for him to start out with the Moonlight Sonata, right? We start out with the more, the slow build-up and whatnot. And I was actually expecting them to continue utilizing maybe even a sort of rearrangement version of Moonlight Sonata during the fight scenes as well. And building up to a climax and whatnot, and eventually also tapering off, in line with the music. So I do feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity there. I would have loved them to explore that concept a bit more, or heck, even going back to like when we first meet Takt and Destiny, right? And I guess her sort of transferred form we can call Destiny, which, by the way, that actually does use the Symphony Number 5, again from Beethoven, although it actually, I believe it uses the fourth movement or whatnot, so definitely one that not most people probably don't get that far unless you are a classical music lover. When most people think of Symphony Number 5 from Beethoven, they think of da 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 da, Destiny, right? So I was actually expecting that as well. So I mean, all right, fair point to them, right? But during that scene, I think the main point is during that scene we see Destiny fighting off the D2s, where at the same time, the background music was classically inspired, right? And we have the rhythm and flow of the fighting tied into the music. Like, that was beautifully executed. So I'm actually really, really disappointed that during this last big fight here, they did not utilize something similar to that as well. So hopefully this is, maybe they just couldn't fit it in. I do hope that in the future, because as far as I know, all the other characters are motifs of like famous classical pieces, right? So I do hope that they can continue with it, and when every new character comes, when they fight, to have their theme playing in the background and whatnot. I just feel like that. Sure, it might get old quickly, but come on, this is an anime adaptation, right? We're probably not gonna see the same character fighting too much for too often or too long. Or I guess maybe, considering that, I mean, since Destiny is the main female lead here, perhaps she is going to be, obviously she's going to be a recurring character and be in a lot of fights. So I guess hopefully, my best hope right now is that the production team is actually thinking of saving that scenario I described, using, Destiny, using the number 5 symphony of Beethoven as the background music during, one of the most important fight scenes within the entire season and whatnot. So that's all I can hope for, right? Because I do feel like that would make it much more epic and give this entire series a more unique feel and take to it, right? Otherwise, what is it doing differently from the other franchises beyond saying that I'm musically inspired and the concept of humans can't listen to music, right? Which, by the way, if we really get into that, is also quite like question mark from me. Like, how are the D2s so sensitive as when you're trying to listen to music through, I don't know, your AirPods or your earphones or whatever kind of device that you use, your headphones and whatnot, that they can also hear it and they can also detect it and so appear and manage to kill you off or something. Like, how exactly does that work? Especially when we, the headphones nowadays, right? As long as the seal is proper, you can't really hear the person listening to music and whatnot. I find it hard to believe that nobody can listen to music and so on and so forth. But I mean, I guess this is just the basic premise of the franchise, right? So we're just gonna have to accept it, don't question it, and move on. But I'm just saying, it does seem kind of ridiculous here, honestly. So yeah, anyways, continuing on, I'm guessing that they're probably going to take another 3 or so episodes until they get to New York here, because right now, judging from the map that we've been shown, they are somewhere in the Midwest of the US of A, probably around Oklahoma, Kansas, that part. So I'm expecting, you know, at least another 3 or 4 episodes before they finally reach New York, and then they start doing whatever they need to do. Or, of course, they could just time skip directly there. But I have a feeling that probably we're going to have a little bit more time spent with these core 3, if you will, and get to know them a lot better, see them fighting in different scenarios, and so on and so forth, and learning more about their character backgrounds as well. So, I mean, in conclusion, I guess you could say I do like this first episode. I think it has great potential. At the very least, just from the audio-visual perspective, it's already doing a fantastic job. And, you know, even if you don't like the story, don't like the plot or whatnot, if you just watch it for the fights, I think even that is hype enough for what it is. So, you know, at the very least, we got a pretty damn good action franchise here, or action anime here. And if they do manage to combine the visuals on screen with the audios, which are obviously classically inspired, that's already a great thing here. You know, if they can combine it better, or even make the entire theme of this anime more coherent and integrate it with the main story and whatnot, you know, it can only go up from there, right? I feel like it already has a great foundation because, like, let's face it, I think most people will be attracted to the visuals and you know, the animation of this anime. And once you get that, you know, everything else is a plus, right? That is going to continue pushing it towards, you know, towards greatness, towards masterpiece status, towards anime of the season, anime of the year status, right? So hopefully it can meet the expectations, and yeah, I am looking forward to the next episode. So hopefully you guys are as well. Thank you guys, and I will see you guys next week, hopefully on time. So until then, bye bye.